The Committee on Environment, Climate, and Legacy to order. Let the records show that today is February 25th, 3:05 p.m. And we don't have quorum yet. We're short of one person at the moment to have quorum, but we want to begin this right away to allow Senator Pappas, since her committee is concurrent to this committee here. We have 6 item totals, and we're going to start it up with Senator Sandy Pappas on Senate File 1504. Welcome, Senator. And after you speak, all your testifiers do state your name for the record. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And I just have Mr. Braxton Hawley, who's the Executive Director of Walker West, here with me this afternoon. And what Senate File 1504 would do is appropriate $300,000 to the Walker West Music Academy from the Legacy Fund. Walker West annually provides about 6,000 people of all ages and backgrounds, including 30% low income, supported by scholarships and tuition assistance, with accessible community music education and performance opportunities in the Twin Cities and beyond. So what this funding would do, it would aid, specifically aid the early childhood music program and a dementia-friendly community gospel choir chorus for 55 and over. It would also fund development for music educators and the Rondo Community Music Series. And again, these are free programs available in person and virtually, so it's accessible for all. And just a personal comment is that my mother had dementia, she had Alzheimer's, and as we are all learning, that music is one of the last things to leave a person's mind when they have dementia. And so I have this, I'm gonna start crying, I have this wonderful videotape of her before she died singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I played it at her funeral, and you know, she didn't recognize a lot of us, her nieces or her daughters. She was having, people had to help her with daily living. She was in a facility, but she knew the words to Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which is kind of our family song, because my niece started singing it at a very young age, and so we always sang that song together. So I know how important music is, and with that, I'll just turn it over to Mr. Hawley.
Thanks so much, Senator Pappas, and really appreciate it. I am really excited to be here to really talk about the power of music to heal our community. We did a strategic plan several years ago, and what we came to the conclusion is that we just cannot be in one location. And we developed that program called Walker West Without Walls. And that means we have to get out of the facility and we have to be in the community where our students and our parents and families are. As Senator Pappas has indicated, we are really focused on expansion and growth. When I first started at Walker West, we had $450,000. This year, we're gonna hit $3.6 million because we have really focused on expanding in our community. One of the things we're going to do is, expand both youth, the infants and the babies. We have a program called Homies in Harmony. And we do that internally at Walker West. We do it at Phyllis Wheatley Community Center or the Mary T. Welcome Center in North Minneapolis. We were doing it at Hallie Q. Brown. We'll reestablish it at Hallie Q. Brown soon. We're looking at Jeremiah program, and we're looking at Agape in North Minneapolis. And it's almost like what Senator Pappas talked about. Music is brain health. For the babies, it's brain development and impulse control, and it gets the kids ready for kindergarten. For adults, it's healthy aging of the brain, and just as you indicated, Senator Pappas, that's the last thing that goes. We have a lady, her name is Sister Viola Seals. She'll come into the building, and she'll barely not be communicative. By the time we get through with that gospel choir, she's singing and she's dancing, and you say, is that the same lady that I just saw? And that shows you right there the healing power of music right there in front of your face. And so we're expanding, our programs both for youth and for our dementia-friendly choir. And then we have another program called Singspirations, and we go to the assisted living facilities and we do community singing together. We also have expanded our school residencies. Sometimes in Minnesota, there's this thing called the Mississippi River, and folks from Minneapolis don't want to go over to St. Paul, and folks from St. Paul don't want to go to Minneapolis. Guess what? We're in St. Cloud, and we are in the 3-year residency, helping them revamp their programs because a lot of their students are now African American and Somali. And so we really believe in this Walker West Without Walls program, where we meet the students and the families where they're at. We also have a amazing community music series. Some of our faculties, they're very humble. I'm less humble. They're some of the best musicians in the upper Midwest, and they do performances almost twice a month. And it's free and open to the public. And I think one time I was presenting to Representative Leon Lilly, and he said, oh yeah, these performances are first class, it's world class. And I really enjoyed myself. And also we're taking over the Selby Avenue Jazz Fest. So we've put a stake in the ground on free performances that are just top notch. And so that's, as we come today, we're talking not just about doing our programming in our facility, we're talking about expansion. We're talking about expanding in all kind of communities. We also have an online component with our Amazing Grace course, where we have folks from Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta, because we've able to do some of these things online as well. Our Rondo Community Music Series is streamed across the world. If you guys know the performer Sade, when we did our first performance, she was on there just chatting it up. So we're about growth and expansion, and we're about doing the best that we can for our community, to use the power of music to heal our community, because we know music heals. Again, it's brain health, it's healthy aging of the brain, and that's what we're all about.
Thank you, Mr. Halsey. I forgot to ask you to state your name for the record, although we know your name, but do state your name for the record.
Braxton Halsey, Walker West Music Academy.
Okay.
And I mispronounced his name too, I'm sorry. I did want to mention one other, Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Yes.
one other connection to the legislature, and that is a former legislator by the name of Howard Ornstein, who served in the House for many years, studied violin at Walker West, and now plays violin at my synagogue, our synagogue in Minneapolis, at high holidays and sometimes even at regular services. So it really is, a lot of people, a lot of kids have taken music lessons at Walker West.
Okay. Any question from members? Senator Pappas, any last comments? And I know you just made one here, but
That was my last comment, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for sharing your story, your personal story, and also sharing a story about one of our former colleagues. So,
He's also in our adult ensembles too.
oh, great.
So he's still playing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, great. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you for bringing music health to our attention, to our legislation as well. So Senate File 1504 will be laid over for possible inclusion. I also want to announce that now we have quorum, and at the same time, we also, I see visitor not new to us. My former colleague Senator Hayden is also among the audience as well. So next on the agenda here is Senate File 1669, Senator Dahms. And I would like to, although I guard kind of loosely on time, I'd like to ask testify to keep it around 2 minutes so that we could keep our agenda moving along. Senator Dahms, welcome.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anytime you're ready.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and today I have Senate File 1669 for your consideration. I have two testifiers today, Val Arsvold and T.J. Brown. Senate File 1669 is a bill that appropriates $350,000 per year for grants to the Minnesota FFA Association and the Minnesota FFA Foundation. These grants may be used to provide new and expanded opportunities to Minnesota FFA members to engage in various arts-related activities. Some of these activities could include such things as state FFA and band and choir, federal FFA band and choir, and state and federal FFA talent competitions, just to name a few. Senate File 1669 allows that up to $125,000 each year to be used to commemorate the upcoming 100th anniversary of the Minnesota FFA. The Minnesota FFA Foundation would create a history book, video storytelling series, and an in-person arts-related celebratory event. The criteria and oversight for these grants, I feel, would be certainly, the criteria and oversight of these grants would be created by the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. Minnesota FFA has a long, rich history of providing its members with a wide range of opportunities in the arts. I am happy to present this bill, and I do believe it's exactly what this fund was created for. The supporters of this bill are the Minnesota FFA Association, Minnesota FFA Foundation, Minnesota Farmers Union, and the Minnesota Farmers Bureau. And Mr. Chair, if you'd like to call on the testifiers.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to call the Executive Director, is it Mr. Arsvold?
Val Arsvold.
Val
Yep.
Arsvold, okay.
Great.
You already stated your name already, so it's
Wonderful.
go ahead with the testimony.
Thank you so much. Chairman Herr and fellow committee members, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today. I've had the privilege of being around FFA for nearly 40 years. First as a high school student who participated as an active FFA member, then as an agricultural education instructor, and currently in this role as the Minnesota FFA Foundation Executive Director. It is an honor to share with you a vision that is deeply rooted in Minnesota's history, culture, and future, our celebration of 100 years for Minnesota FFA. For nearly a century, Minnesota FFA has shaped the lives of young people across the state, preparing them not only for careers in agriculture, but also for leadership roles in their communities. It has been a force for good, fostering resilience, innovation, and a deep appreciation for the land that sustains us. As we approach this milestone in 2029, we seek to honor the legacy of the past while inspiring the next generation to carry it forward. To do this, we propose a multifaceted initiative that blends history, storytelling, and the arts. The three components of our effort would be a history book, a video storytelling series, and an in-person art celebration, which would serve as powerful tools to preserve and share the story of Minnesota agriculture through the lens of FFA. Agriculture is more than an industry in Minnesota. It's a way of life, a cultural identity, and a source of pride for many communities. The stories of young people who have grown through the FFA, whether they would become farmers, educators, scientists, or business leaders, are stories of determination and service. Through the 100-year history book, we will document the evolution of FFA and its impact, capturing personal interviews, photographs, and reflections that might otherwise be lost. The book will serve as an educational resource and a tribute to those who have contributed to Minnesota's agricultural legacy. The growing Minnesota video storytelling series will bring history to life, featuring multi-generational FFA families, innovations in agriculture, and the voice of young people helping to shape the future. This accessible, high-quality content will allow us to reach people across the state and beyond, ensuring that these stories endure for years to come. Finally, the In-Part Art Celebration will unite communities in a one-of-a-kind event that showcases the intersection of agriculture and the arts. Through visual arts, music, spoken word, and student-led performances, we will celebrate the creative spirit that thrives in Minnesota. These events will not only honor our history, but also create a space where the past, present, and future of agriculture are woven together through artistic expression. I believe this initiative directly supports the mission of the Agriculture and Cultural Heritage Fund by preserving Minnesota's agricultural history through storytelling and archival documentation. It promotes the arts in our communities by showcasing the talents and creativity of Minnesota's young people and artists. And it engages communities statewide in a shared cultural experience that highlights the connection between agriculture, education, and arts. The investment of this project would extend far beyond the celebration itself. The history book would be distributed to schools, libraries, and organizations, ensuring that future generations understand the contributions of Minnesota's agricultural leaders. The video series will live on a digital platform and be available for people to view these rich stories. And the in-person event will allow people to come together and share and strengthen connections and foster pride within our heritage. On behalf of Minnesota FFA, our members, our alumni, and supporters, I respectfully ask for your support to make this vision a reality. Together, we can honor the past, celebrate the present, and inspire the future. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Director Oswald. And next I'll call Executive Director of Minnesota FFA Association, Mr. Brown. Do state your name for the record, and if you can keep, and the following testifier can keep within roughly 2 minutes, that would be good, and try not to be redundant on previous presentation. But do state your name for the record and go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. TJ Brown. I also support this Senate file that provides funding for Minnesota FFA, expanding its arts-related activities and programming. While many people often associate our organization with agriculture, leadership, and education, which is correct, many people don't realize the rich history that FFA has related to arts and music. As Val mentioned, we are nearing our 100th anniversary, and I've been preparing by reviewing numerous historic artifacts, and one is a book that's a summation of the first 50 years of our organization, and it referenced Minnesota FFA's local, state, and national band, chorus, and talent acts 144 times, most from the first 3 decades of our existence. Back then, numerous advisors started many local FFA bands and choirs and talent reviews to provide regular performances in an effort to gain awareness and community support for our fledgling organization. The state followed suit with a mail-order band in 1939, and most famously, Minnesota was asked by the National FFA to provide a 100-piece band to be the official convention musical group in the 1940 convention. Much work was put into raising funds for a special charter train to take the entire band to Kansas City that year. Even more pivotal is the fact that the reason that we have the blue corduroy jacket that many people associate with us is the fact that it was actually started because of FFA band. An advisor in Ohio decided to take their chapter's band to the 3rd National Convention to perform and decided they needed a band uniform. Everybody was so impressed with their blue corduroy jackets, they decided to vote and make it the official uniform for all of FFA, and it has stuck around for 100 years. History aside, the arts play a vital role in shaping well-rounded students. This bill's investment in FFA arts program, including band, choir, and talent, landscaping, and floriculture competitions will not only enrich students' educational experiences, but also strengthen our communities and Minnesota's cultural heritage, and maybe bring back a little of that emphasis on the appreciation of the arts, which has been lost since those early years. Arts programs cultivate creativity, problem solving, and communication skills, all which are essential to the future of agriculture. Whether it's through music, visual arts, or performance, creative expression helps students develop the innovative thinking necessary to tackle modern agricultural challenges. FFA members who participate in music performances and talent competitions gain confidence and teamwork skills that carry over into their careers, whether they choose to become farmers, educators, or ag business leaders. The ability to tell a story is just as important as advocating for agriculture as understanding the science behind it, and the arts help teach students how to tell a story through performance and expression. Many communities across Minnesota, FFA is not just a student organization, it's a pillar of that town or city. By funding arts-focused events, this bill ensures that students from all backgrounds have opportunities to showcase their talents in meaningful ways. The FFA band, choir, and talent at national and state events brings communities together, and floriculture and landscaping competitions highlight the intersectionality of agriculture and artistic design. Additionally, this investment will provide students with access to arts programming that they might not otherwise have. Many schools are facing budget constraints that could limit funding for music and arts education. This bill will help bridge the gap, ensuring that many more Minnesota students, regardless of where they live or the class schedule that they're able to sign up for in high school, will have the opportunity to engage with arts. Investing in the arts within FFA strengthens Minnesota's reputation as a state that values both agriculture and culture, preserving our unique identity for future generations. By supporting this Senate file, we're investing in creativity, education, and development. And I would urge your support to support Minnesota FFA in helping our communities and agriculture thrive with the arts.
Thank you, Director Brown. Do we have the Minnesota Farmer Union intern here? So, yeah, welcome. So come forward and state your name for the record, and before you leave the testify table, make sure you sign the sheet, the name list that's over there at the table. So welcome, and state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, Chair Herr and members of the committee. My name is Amber Finley, and I'm the legislative intern for the Minnesota Farmers Union. And I'm here to share MFU's strong support for this bill and also relay that of the Minnesota Farm Bureaus. I grew up immersed in agriculture on a family farm in Herman, Minnesota, and I'm also a proud former member of FFA. And I'm also someone who is extremely active in career and technical student organizations throughout my high school career. I've experienced firsthand how these programs shape students into confident leaders, critical thinkers, and engaged community members. As an organization dedicated to strengthening rural communities and supporting the next generation of agricultural leaders, the Minnesota Farmers Union understands the importance of investing in programs that connect students to agriculture in meaningful ways. I was proud to be a part of the FFA organization, and I was proud to see how it propelled both my brother and I into success in our college careers. FFA has always been a cornerstone of leadership development and agricultural education for a century, and this funding will ensure that students have new opportunities to explore the cultural and historical aspects of agriculture. A portion of this funding will commemorate FFA's 100-year legacy through a history book, a video storytelling series, and an arts-focused event. These initiatives will preserve the voices and the contributions of Minnesota FFA members, allowing students to engage with the rich history of agricultural leadership in our state. Documenting this history ensures that students see themselves as a part of a long-standing tradition of innovation and service in agriculture. Additionally, these programs ensure that all students, regardless of their financial background, have access to the enriching experience that FFA provides. For many students, CTSOs like FFA provide their first leadership opportunities, their first public speaking experiences, and for some students, it's their first opportunity to travel outside of their hometown. These moments are transformative. I've seen and experienced myself how students discover passions, build lifelong friendships, and develop skills that will serve them no matter what career path they pursue. By funding these initiatives, we are ensuring that all students, regardless of their background, have access to these programs that change the trajectory of their lives. By funding these initiatives, we are investing in students, in leadership, and in the future of Minnesota agriculture. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'll be happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Finley. Senator Dahms, you have some guests to us that are with you, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Mr. Chair.
Do you have other guests, young people from members of FFA
Yes,
that are here?
Mr. Chair. Some of the state FFA officers have joined us. They pretty much all of them were here, but they had to leave for some other appointments. But
Still one here.
yeah, and so we still have one of the FFA officers here, so I'd just like to recognize them as one of the Minnesota State FFA officers for this calendar year.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Any questions from members? Well, thank you, Senator Dahms, for bringing this forward to us. You know, FFA, as I've been seeing, has developed leaders in our communities and our state. So thank you for bringing this bill forward. Any last comment?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and members, for considering Senate file.
Excuse me, Senator Dahms. I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Being that this bill here has affiliation with the Department of Agriculture for grant appropriation guidance, so does it require fiscal note to the agency? Do you know?
I would not know if that is, I'm not sure, maybe one of the folks here
council?
could.
Mr. Chair, members, I do not believe that it does. I want to reserve the final answer for my colleague when he can weigh in, but as part of the legacy process, we routinely will require the agencies that serve as fiscal agents to do various administrative things, and that is just part of the discussion of what the grant award is to be. So I don't think you need to worry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley. So, Senator Dahms, back to your closing.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and members. We do appreciate that you took the time to hear Senate File Number 1669 and appreciate your consideration thereof. Thank you, members and Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Dahms. We'll lay over Senate File 1669 for possible inclusion. We're moving along. So next on our agenda is Senate File 1375, Senator Kupec River Watch Program.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome, Senator Kupec.
Thank you.
Anytime you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee members. I want to thank for the opportunity. This is Senate File 1375, a bill that would fund the River Watch educational program in the Red River Basin. River Watch provides hands-on science and watershed exploration activities to elementary, middle, and high school students. Over 30 schools participate in the River Watch program. The water quality data collected by students is utilized by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency to complement and inform state surface water assessments of the Red River. The bill requests $170,000 a year in funding out of the Clean Water Fund. The program is also supported financially by the Red River Watershed Management Board, local watershed districts. The River Watch program has been benefiting schools, teachers, and students in the Red River Basin for over 30 years. This program exposes students of all ages to the values of science, cultivates the next generation of scientists and conservationists. And with that, I have a couple of testifiers.
All right, welcome. State your name for record, whoever's going to go first.
Hello, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I am Hunter Scow from Twin Valley, Minnesota. I teach science and am the advisor for River Watch at Norman County East School. River Watch is an incredible opportunity for my students. They learn about resource management, data analysis, and local watershed. My students have explored nature, science, and politics with real-world applications that they wouldn't have without River Watch. A number of Norman County East River Watch alumni have gone on to college to study resource management, and one of my former students currently works for White Earth DNR, applying many of the skills that she learned in River Watch. Last year, our team had great success, and since then, many new members have joined. I have a bunch of very excited 8th graders that love River Watch and are very dedicated to the program this year. Tomorrow, we will travel to Grand Forks to compete at the annual forum event. Please support this bill so River Watch can continue making an impact with our students. Next, I have one of my students currently.
All right, welcome. State your name for the record.
Hello, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Caitlin DeRay, and I am a 10th grade student and River Watch member at Norman County East School. And I would like to talk to you about the importance of River Watch. River Watch is an opportunity that most people don't have. Coming from a small town, there aren't many extracurricular activities available that most schools don't already offer. However, River Watch stands out as one of the few unique programs. Throughout my involvement in River Watch, I have been able to grow into myself and discover my interests. Without this program, I wouldn't have connected with my community in such a meaningful way. Because of River Watch, I have been able to positively influence residents' opinion about our watershed and improve their overall perspective on our community.
Thank you for your testimony. Any question from members? A remark? Any testimony from audience? Senator Kupec, closing remark?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is it's a really fun program. They will break into teams and they make it, they turn science into kind of a competition sport. There are schools also on the North Dakota side that North Dakota funds, and they compete against each other, as well as up into Manitoba. So it's kind of an international flavor. And as somebody with a science background, cultivating some young scientists is always exciting to me.
Thank you, Senator Kupec, and we'll lay over Senate File 1375 for possible inclusion. We are already at our midpoint and through our agenda here. I just want to note to folks that yesterday we adopted new rules for committees that should members be online and decide to speak and vote, they have to turn on their camera. That's a few things that has been noted here. But do look at maybe information from your caucus that's been sent to you. There's a long agenda to the rule that we passed yesterday. So now back to our agenda, Senate File 976. Senator McEwen's bill, Wilderness Program, a Wilderness Inquiry. Each of you probably receive this little card here and state project in your district. I think that will be the case. Maybe they can talk about it as they present, but I see here a picture of Phelan Lake, which is Phelan Lake Regional Park, and Phelan Lake is the lake in my district. And in the back, it talks a little bit about the activities and location. So welcome, Senator McEwen, to your committee, and go ahead with your testimony, your presentation, and then your testifier can state their name for the record.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair and colleagues, I am very pleased today to present Senate File 976, which appropriates $670,000 in fiscal year 26 and $729,000 in fiscal year 27 from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund for a grant to Wilderness Inquiry for their canoe mobile program and their Pyramid of Outdoor Engagement program. Wilderness Inquiry is a leader in providing inclusive outdoor educational and recreational programming in communities all across Minnesota, and since 2015 have directly engaged more than 120,000 Minnesota youth. The legacy funding that we are requesting will connect an additional 12,500 youth and families from every region of Minnesota to hands-on activities in the outdoors that teach about the history and cultural heritage of our state. And Mr. Chair, members, I am particularly proud to be the lead author of this bill because these types of projects are quite personal to me. My own children went to an elementary school out of Duluth that had an outdoor learning component. They participated in a number of nature-based activities and educational stations that link to Minnesota's outdoor heritage and history. So I understand firsthand the importance of place-based learning for the development of young people. And I hope that you all will join me in support of this excellent project to provide similar opportunities for an additional 12,500 Minnesota students and families in the next biennium. Sharing our state's outdoor and cultural heritage with the next generation of Minnesotans is at the heart of this bill. So I am pleased now to introduce three testifiers today who will share more about the potential impact of this funding for the next biennium. Tracy Larson, Justin Schiffler, and Erica Rivers.
Okay, let's go with Ms. River. State your name. Oh, she's not in the front there. Just go ahead.
Hello, my name is Tracy Larson. Thank you, Senator McEwen, and hello, Mr. Chair and members. I am the Education Program Manager at Wilderness Inquiry. I was born and raised in Rice, Minnesota, and a proud graduate of Sauk Rapids Rice High School. For those of you who don't know, Wilderness Inquiry is a Minnesota-based nonprofit that has been serving Minnesotans for 47 years. We connect people to the outdoors so they can experience the benefits of spending time in nature. And just last year, more than 41,000 people paddled, fished, camped, built a fire, and explored the outdoors with us. Right here in Minnesota, our programs reach more than 40 communities each year. And true to our mission, we do not leave anyone out. The Wilderness Inquiry difference is that every child at a school has the opportunity to participate. We provide adaptive gear for canoeing, interpreters for students who are deaf or hard of hearing, and we help every child overcome their fear of getting in a canoe and engaging in the outdoors. Today, I am here with my colleagues to share Wilderness Inquiry's proposed legacy project for this biennium, and to ask for your partnership and support. In this project, Wilderness Inquiry seeks to provide outdoor educational and recreational opportunities for more than 12,500 Minnesotans in every corner of this state. Our legacy proposal provides a range of experiences through our canoe-mobile program, from introductory day trips, building outdoor skills with youth, to multi-generational family camping trips in one of our spectacular state parks. But why does this matter? According to a recent report by Outdoor Foundation, only 18% of adults and children spend one day outside. I remember when I was growing up that I spent almost every day playing outside, fishing and swimming along the banks of the Mississippi River, and playing tag with friends outside and enjoying nearby nature. Today's youth and families are increasingly disconnected from Minnesota's natural places. As a former social studies teacher, I had the thrill of experiencing canoe-mobile for the first time in 2009 with my own students, and I saw how intrinsically motivated to learn and engage that my students were able to do along the shores of the Mississippi River as well. I am standing here 16 years later as a testament to the work that Wilderness Inquiry does. Each of you has a laminated postcard on your desk in front of you containing a unique piece of history about a special natural place in your district. These postcards serve as a gateway to the rich tapestry of stories that make up the places we live, learn, connect, and play. I invite you to take a moment to review what we prepared. When Wilderness Inquiry brings children and families outdoors, they learn valuable outdoor skills in one of our amazing public parks. They connect nature into the stories and traditions that have shaped it. Just as the postcards in your hands represent a glimpse into the natural history of your district, these educational experiences foster a sense of belonging and pride of the shared history of Minnesota. And in that, we are supporting connections to the past while investing in the future lovers of Minnesota's great outdoors. Now, I'm so pleased to introduce a close partner in Wilderness Inquiry's programs. Justin Schiffler is an award-winning educator in the Sauk Rapids Rice District and an enthusiastic supporter of Wilderness Inquiry's canoe-mobile. Now, this is a full circle moment for me personally. This past year, we were able to bring canoe-mobile to Sauk Rapids for the first time, a return to my hometown and school district. Justin is here to share how Wilderness Inquiry programs make a difference for his students and community, and how important our work is to connect all Minnesotans to our state's rich history, cultural heritage, and outdoor going traditions. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome. Do state your name for the record.
Thank you, Tracy, and hello, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Justin Schiffler, and I'm a teacher at Pleasant View Elementary in Sauk Rapids Rice School District. I grew up in Melrose, Minnesota, and have been a teacher in the district for 10 years. The outdoors have always been incredibly important to my upbringing. As a young boy, I was fortunate enough to have a grandfather who appreciated Minnesota's lakes. It was on those early morning boat rides on Long Lake when the fish weren't biting that I learned the skills of patience, the art of a conversation, and I really got to know my grandfather, a bond which would last a lifetime. His appreciation for our waterways taught me how to ultimately be a steward of all of our lands. Those moments fostered my love of canoeing, camping, mountain biking, and fishing. And today, all activities I enjoy with my own kids. These are the experiences, much like my grandpa and I, that have allowed us to connect as a family. Through my work as a teacher, I also see how disconnected my students are from the outdoors. I see kids spending way too much time on screens, students who have never learned how to swim, and who don't have the ability to get outdoors on their own. My principal and I have shared a passion for connecting all of our kids with the outdoors, and we also understand the impact place-based learning can have for all of our students. When we heard about Canoe Mobile, we knew this was exactly what we needed for our students and our district. In 2024, we launched a program where every fourth grade student in all of our elementary schools in Sauk Rapid Rice would get to participate in the Canoe Mobile. And the experience was incredible. Over 3 days, 338 students got to learn, explore, and canoe on the Mississippi River. My school specifically is just north of 50% free and reduced lunches. This prevents a variety of barriers for my students and their families, not only at home, but also accessing those activities even if the school were to provide them. None of my students would have ever been canoeing on the Mississippi River. None of my students had ever been canoeing on the Mississippi River before, even though we can practically see it out our window. So Canoe Mobile really opened an experience that wasn't possible before and opened the opportunity to experience this incredible natural treasure that is right in our backyard. I saw students who are typically not engaged in the classroom excited to learn, students with low self-esteem smiling because they were part of something bigger, and students who had never been on water paddling in a canoe for the very first time. And this is such a powerful program that brings to life what I teach in our classroom, but also connects my students with something larger, with the long outdoor going history of our state. And we couldn't do this without wilderness inquiry. I know legacy funding plays a huge role in making this work possible. Because of your support, students like the ones I work with in Sauk Rapids are able to find connection with the outdoors. I hope you will support this project so that more youth and families all across Minnesota can connect to the history, culture, and traditions that make Minnesota's outdoors such an incredible place. Thank you. I will now hand it over to Wilderness Inquiry's Executive Director, Erica Rivers.
Thank you, Justin.
Director, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Erica Rivers. For the record, I'm the Executive Director for Wilderness Inquiry. And just very difficult to follow two accomplished education professionals, but I'm here to kind of clean up, I guess, at the end, just to tell you a little bit more about Wilderness Inquiry in case you're not familiar with our work. I want you to know that we take the trust that's placed in us both to interact with our youth across the state of Minnesota, but also the trust that's placed in all of you to use the resources that are provided from the state legislature in a very reasonable and responsible way. I want you to know that Wilderness Inquiry matches all of the funds that come from Legacy 3-to-1 with private funding. That funding comes from individuals, corporations, foundations, as well as fee-for-service associated with our programs. And that's really important to us because that means that your investment is having an outsized impact. In terms of funding integrity, I want you to know that we have an external accountant that monitors our books every month, and we also hire an external third-party auditor to do an annual audit of our books as well. You can trust that your support will have its intended impacts and will share the values of legacy with thousands of Minnesotans all across the state. Wilderness Inquiry's legacy request is directly in line with what voters statewide approved through the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, connecting youth and families to Minnesota's culture and heritage through outdoor programs and communities all across the state. This work is about investing in the next generation of outdoor adventurers, but it is also an investment in the people who will learn, recreate, travel, explore, and also support Minnesota's $13.5 billion outdoor recreation economy for generations to come. Thank you for your time today and consideration of Senate File 976, and we stand for questions.
Thank you very much for your testimonies. Any questions or comments from members? Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you. We just spoke a little while ago, and you all brought up a lot of memories. I grew up in Sartell, and so the river that you speak of is the river of my childhood and the Watab Creek, and it was, we spent all our summer days on the river and in that creek, and you talking about how your grandfather instilled the love of nature and the water and the respect for it was very much the same as my father. And so I know that, and as a teacher myself of 25 years, knowing that kids, are not outside like they used to be, are not, appreciating the beautiful Mississippi River or the waterways that we have right now, really makes me so very sad. I mean, it was so enriching for us and obviously for all of you. And so if there are ways that we can continue to fund these kind of opportunities, Mr. Chair, for not only our rural members, but our urban students that rarely get those opportunities, it can only be a positive investment in those children and into our community, and appreciation for the environment and the world that we live in. So thanks for sharing that and taking me down a long memory road today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing, Senator Kunesh. Senator Hauschild.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks, Senator McEwen, for bringing this bill. I, too, am very fond of the work that Wilderness Inquiry does. I think, your words that you talked about with kids being on tablets and phones and technology and just not having the connection to the outdoors, I think that's a serious issue. And I really think we have to do something about it, and you're taking action and finding ways to bring people into our natural environment. And I'm really lucky to represent the district I do with the Boundary Waters and North Shore. And I was talking to your group earlier today, and it sounds like you were recently in Beaver Bay and parts of my district. And so I just strongly support this, and I wish we could do even more. So just appreciate all the work you do and would love to continue to be involved with you all as you continue to explore opportunities to grow your programs.
Thank you. No hands from members? Good. Any testimony from the audience? Well, thank you for coming to testify here on Wilderness Inquiry. I look at my green card here and mentioned the Dragon Boat Fest, and I think that's probably the first time for me to cross paths with Wilderness Inquiry. And I did get a very good picture in your 10-person's boat, and it was a 10-person canoe. So it was quite fun, and I also learned something from the student there. I'm a avid outdoorsman. I set campfire with organic match, waterproof match and pocket lighter, but I did have and on picture as well video of the children showing me how to light with the magnesium lighter. So that got recorded. So it was exciting, and I agree with both Senator Kunesh and Senator Hauschild about getting our children outdoors. Virtual reality is fun and imaginative and could be infinitive and beyond, but the real thing is outside. And so Wilderness Inquiry is actually doing that. So any closing remarks, Senator McEwen?
Thank you, Chair Herr. I don't know that I could say it any better than you just did, but I just would offer that, growing up in Duluth, we have a number of parks and natural areas in Duluth, and I think that the kids who do grow up in our area benefit so much, as we've heard from a lot of the testimony today and sharing from members, from just having that time outside. And we all know, those of us who spend time outdoors, that there's something truly grounding and spiritual about those experiences that really help us in our lives and help our communities overall. So respectfully ask for all of your support in getting as many of the youth of Minnesota out and have those experiences as possible. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator McEwen, and I know that the request amount appear reasonable based on the number of students that are part of the group. So it's probably a wise and prudent spending or investment per se. So thank you very much. Senate File 976 is laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is Senator Hauschild's bill, Senate File 1637, Lake County appropriation. Welcome, Senator Hauschild, to your committee. Anytime you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Today I have for your consideration Senate File 1637, a bill that would provide legacy funding for the woodworking community in Two Harbors, Minnesota. The Two Harbors Woodworking and Arts Center was started by a group of seniors to share their collective love for woodworking. And today, they are a multi-generational group to teach and promote woodworking throughout Lake County. This funding would allow the woodworking group to continue to work across generations and with young people in the school systems to build community and camaraderie. And they also have plans, Mr. Chair, to build benches for the local parks, walking trails, and public spaces throughout the county. And small request, $25,000 to help them do that through legacy funds, and appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Senator Hauschild. Any question or comment from members? Senator Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you be a little more specific on what they're going to do with the money? I mean, are they going to buy wood? Are they going to buy tools?
Yeah, this would be for a lot of the materials, a lot of the needs that they would have in order to build the benches themselves. So this is sort of expanding beyond just the woodworking and training that they do, and actually work on the benches that would be available in the local parks and trails.
Okay, Mr. Chair, just one more question. Has this been around for a while? Is this organization called Lake Country? Or is it, because it doesn't really say in here, it just says that they're going to give money to the Arts Board for a grant to Lake Country for woodworking. Is the organization Lake Country?
So how
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Green. So it's Lake County. It would be given to the county.
My mistake.
No problem. I was confused myself. I wasn't sure what you were,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I should have had my glasses on,
No
Mr.
worries.
Chair.
Yeah. Senator Green.
So, Mr. Chair, I apologize for that. I don't bring my glasses when I should, and that's what happens.
No worries.
And so, does Lake County then have a building, some kind of a place where they're going to have this, where they already have the tools, or?
Yeah, so there's an existing program called the Two Harbors Woodworking and Art Center, and that's this group of seniors that work on sort of this woodworking classes with young people and across generations to sort of pass down woodworking to future generations. So, and the county works with them as well, and would get the money and then give it to this group to do the benches for the county.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator Green, for the question, and no comment, so I'm gonna add my question and also a little point too. And if I need help, the council can clarify. This money is and I like small amount requests so that we can spread it out. And I appreciate Senator Green, the more specific finance senator, even question on 25,000. But like this, our state arts board do take certain percentage of the legacy dollars, and then open for application and competitive grant. Now this is like a direct grant from them to Lake County, right? Am I right on that?
Mr. Chair, yeah, this would be a direct appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Yeah, so they
to the directors of the Minnesota State Art Board for a grant to Lake County. Yep.
Okay, so they kind of jump over the, appropriation, which I do support, because many times when we do competitive grant and our intended organization that's supposed to get, out of confusion, sometimes they don't get the funding. So I really like to support, small dollars like this go to the organization that really matter. At the same time, I also want to share a point that sometime when and I think that Lake County might not run into this problem, but let's say if Lake County received this grant, then they cannot apply for the state arts board, what we call double dipping. It had in the past we appropriate dollars to an organization and use a fiscal agency as a pass-through, but the fiscal agency receives dollar from state arts board, and so it adds some complications. So we had to work through the process so that a pass-through doesn't show that the agency that was a pass-through are double dipping on the state arts board. But this should be okay. I just want to share that story. Mr. Sandler, do you think can you clarify with that point that I just made and more legislative? terminology.
Mr. Chair, members, I think what you're suggesting is that when an entity receives a direct appropriation from the legacy funds, it raises a question of whether or not they are then eligible or ineligible for an appropriation or an allocation from an appropriation for a more general pot. And that is a question that can be addressed with boilerplate in the legacy bill itself, but until you have a legacy bill in front of you where that is or is not addressed, I can't tell you what the effect of that would be. If that makes sense. It's something that you would have to address in the bill itself, the legacy bill, not this Senate File 1637.
Thank you. I just want a little bit from the technical side to clarify my point there. But thank you, Senator Hauschild. Any last comment?
Go ahead.
Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just real quick, and thank you for bringing this, Senator Hauschild. I just wanted to add that I've been up to this. I maybe live closer to this area in Two Harbors than you do, Senator Hauschild. I'd love to join as a co-author. But this is just a lovely little park with the depot there at Two Harbors on Lake Superior. And it's just, it is a wonderful, for people that don't live up in that area, take a day trip up there. There's a lot of really nice little places in Two Harbors, and it's a wonderful area to check out. And this program sounds great. I'd really be interested in learning more about it. So thanks for bringing it.
Any last remarks, Senator?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator McEwen, for your words. And yes, you're absolutely right. You do live closer than I do. My district is vast, and Mr. Chair, that was super helpful to hear your comments about sort of the eligibilities and what's been done in the past for legacy bills. I, to be completely honest with you, did not know that was sort of the way that we often do things. So it's helpful for me to know that as I move forward with some of these types of bills.
Thank you very much. And the State Arts Board will be here next week for informational hearing, give us a report so we can ask more questions about that as well.
Great.
So thank you. We'll lay over Senate File 1637 for possible inclusion. Okay, next on our agenda is the highlight grant program from Minnesota Humanities Center. I'd like to call the Director Kevin Lizzie over, and also Ms. Auger. Welcome and take your time. And you have 1 hour if you need it, but I don't think it'll go that long unless we have lots of questions to you.
We will try to meet the committee's expectations, Mr. Chair, and not take the entire hour.
That's yours.
You want to advance it one just to make sure? Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kevin Lindsay, and then I will have the Grants Administrator for the Minnesota Humanities Center to introduce herself.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Trustee Auger. I'm the Grants Manager with the Minnesota Humanities Center.
So we're here today to provide you with an overview and update as it relates to the grants administration that has gone on during this current biennium period. And I want to first acknowledge and appreciate all the hard work of Ms. Auger and her team in administering the grants this biennium period. We have been successful in no short part due to her tireless efforts to be successful and work hard within this area. So I really appreciate her efforts in the organization. So as background, the Minnesota Humanities Center was founded in 1971. The National Endowment for the Arts and National Endowment for the Arts were initiated in 1965. If you go to the website for the National Endowment for the Humanities, it talks about Hubert Humphrey, one of Minnesota's favorite sons, welcoming various folks into the Rose Garden to celebrate the creation of the National Endowment for the Humanities. Our vision is a just society that's curious, connected, and compassionate, curious that we come to conversations with open hearts and open minds to authentically hear and listen to one another. Connected, as Dr. King reminds us, we see ourselves tied to a garment of mutual destiny. What impacts one impacts all. And compassion, where we're motivated beyond that connection with our fellow citizens to create a just society. The mission is very similar to what I've heard just here in this past hour about stories and amplifying stories. The academic discipline of the humanities can be religion or ethics, and those are handed down to us in the families that we're born in and the families that we make through our friends. Literature and history, or the rules that we learn when we go to school or within community, it helps us to guide our decision making. Or if I were to go over across the street to the Minnesota Supreme Court and I were to look at one of the opinions, those opinions are rules wrapped up in morals and storytelling. So stories have a powerful influence on us as human beings. So for us at the Minnesota Humanities Center, we really seek to create space for everyone in the state of Minnesota to have their story told and be able to have the space to have their story told. This biennium period, $15.4 million in grants was handed out or about to be handed out by the Minnesota Humanities Center. Going back through the history of the organization, this is the high watermark for our organization. There have been several things that we have done during this biennium period to ensure success, and we'll highlight some of those things. But I did just want to take a moment to celebrate the fact of the Minnesota Legislature seeing value in the Minnesota Humanities Center to create administrative grant programs to reach every corner of the state. There are 9, for us, I would say, large buckets as it relates to grant lines which were administered. Tag a little bit of a line on direct appropriation. It's not really a grant line. That's really the legislature identifying a specific organization. But for purposes of the conversation today, I'm going to treat it as a grant line. Cultural heritage grants was the largest bucket during this past biennium period, and almost $9 million was handed out during this 2-year cycle. Emergency response grants, in response to an incident involving a local high school where a young person lost their life, I shared with members of the Minnesota Legislature grant line that had been existed at the national level with the National Endowment for the Humanities called United We Stand, in which humanities organizations, arts and cultural organizations could lean into a moment of hatred or intolerance or violence and seek to be a calming salve, a balm, an opportunity to create some healing. And really appreciate the fact that the legislature leaned into that respective tragedy and provided grants for the very first time for emergency response. Also, for the very first time for the Minnesota Humanities Center, providing $750,000 for capacity building grants. This was something that we had heard for a long period of time of a need for cultural organizations to be able to potentially expand within their growth and development, appreciating the fact that this is not ongoing administrative expenses or opportunities for reimbursement for these organizations, but one-time grant opportunities to bolster their capacity to grow as organizations. Children's Museum was an area which we have historically given out money over the course of time at the Minnesota Humanities Center. There was a direct appropriation in there to the Children's Museum in St. Paul, and then a competitive grant program of 2.2 for other children's museums within the state of Minnesota. Art and music scholarships in cultural ethnic studies. Cultural and ethnic studies has just been released within the last week. Art and music will be released very soon, shortly. Festivals just concluded. And again, this is another one for the very first time in issuing such a grant line. The short story here, or the headline, is in all of these, and you're going to see this in the next couple of slides, demand far outstrips supply. In each of these grant lines, we received several multiples of applications for the grant dollars that we had in each of these respective categories. Appreciating the fact that in order to have a successful process program, and you're going to hear this throughout, you need to be proactive, you need to reach out, you need to provide good information to folks on the front end. You need to make sure that as they apply, that you're also by their side and providing information to them. And for new grant applicants, an opportunity to ask questions before they actually submit their application. That was something that Tristy and her team really took to heart, and I think it had a really positive impact on what we saw. We also wanted to make sure that we took into account what you said, and that was to streamline the application process. A lot of foundations had found that some grant or some organizations and communities were finding their application process long, laborious, and not necessarily connected to what the foundation supposedly was seeking to try to accomplish, and therefore they would get frustrated and not finish up their application process. Now, we did have conversations with foundations to try to figure out what was problems and what could be improved. We just didn't do this all by ourselves willy-nilly. We brought some intentionality to that, and I think streamlining the application process was very successful for us. We also spent some time ensuring that our networks that we had and have developed over the course of time were leveraged. Being an affiliate to the National Endowment for the Humanities, we see and have connections to colleges and organizations all throughout the state, so we also brought that to bear. If we go to the next slide. The outreach involved reaching out to radio stations, going on TV as well. Specifically for the cultural heritage grants, we had a targeted strategy in various BIPOC newspapers and outlets, media, to make sure that we were getting the word out within that. In the cultural heritage grants, I think that resulted in somewhere between about 6 to 6.5 the multiple to the respective dollars that we had. And I think it was due in no short order to the amount of outreach that we did in that area. For festivals, we did outreach to various community festival planners, small businesses, and then we also sent out information to various mayors and deputy mayors throughout the state of Minnesota. This grant line, I believe we'll see is about $2.4 million was the amount of dollars requested for the $450,000 that we had to give out. And we reached that level of request in less than 60 days. Just as an example of the demand within this respective area. This application support and assistance. So again, folks that could see an application, they would have an opportunity to submit a question online. They would have a chance to call folks up at the Minnesota Humanities Center, get their questions answered. Many folks took us up on informational meetings with applicants. So people might say, hey, this is the first time I have done such a grant, or is this something where I am going to be prohibited from applying for a state arts board grant? So that question that you just fielded was one that we have answered and provide information to for folks within that space. Also, to the extent that they might be able to get some funding for their respective activity through a foundation, would they be precluded from applying for a grant? Getting clarity as to whether that would be applicable or something that could happen under the law. We hosted some just general information sessions. Again, within the outreach, about 500 folks showed up, or organizations showed up for those respective meetings. And again, I want to be clear on this, is that we did have a period of time right before application submission. So we weren't going up to the final 10 minutes before application submissions, but in that 24-hour window ahead of that time, I should say, you could ask questions. And many folks took us up on that opportunity to submit questions, in which we then submitted answers back for. Once the applications were submitted, we would do an initial screen. So again, this is an opportunity: is the application complete? Have all the attachments been provided? Does it fall within the statutory requirements? Now, very similar to, and I know this would not apply to any of the attorneys in the room or sitting across from me, that you somehow failed to submit your brief to the Minnesota Court of Appeals and you did not comply with all the technical requirements, nor did you comply with all the technical requirements at the Minnesota Supreme Court, from time to time you might get a call from the clerk to correctify or rectify your brief, and as long as you've corrected or rectified your brief within 24 or 48 hours, they'll then accept your brief. So kind of one of the more common mistakes that some newer attorneys make is they have the wrong color on their respective brief when they submit it to the Court of Appeals, as an example. So to this extent, if there were some what we refer to sometimes as de minimis or very small mistakes that were made on the respective application, we would then contact the grantee to rectify and correct those things, and then folks would quickly resolve those issues and then get the application back to us. The review panel piece is where we would then be looking at, now the applications have been reviewed. They're not asking for things that you cannot ask for under legacy. So for example, some applications may ask for bringing someone outside of the state of Minnesota in for travel. So that would be a no-no. So that would be something which would be identified within the application process in this initial screen. If those things were flagged, we might then look at the balance of the application and say, for example, you are looking for $50,000 and the application, or part of the application that you were calling for travel or outside of the state was for $25,000. The remaining requests within your application would be permissible under legacy. Then we would only review the $25,000 or the part that was permissible under legacy. The remaining portion would not proceed to the review panel. So once you've now gotten past the initial screen, you would then go to the review panel. The review panelists would be selected for cultural heritage. We identified folks that came from the cultural heritage communities identified within the statute. We also provided the specific language to all review panelists, so they were made aware of the specific legislative intent. They were provided with an opportunity to ask any questions that they had before serving as review panelists as to the legislative intent, and then also the dollars that would be available to each of the respective categories. So within civics, for example, there was $300,000 which was available, less administrative of the 5.5%. That overall number would then be given to each of the review panelists. So the review panelists, for example, might say this grant application that's looking for $250,000, it might exhaust the entirety of the balance. That could be taken into consideration by the review panelists and whether they are going to rate that application as the number one or the number two or the number third highest from their vantage point. We did share that information with review panelists. Review panelists would come back, they would score, they would rank the top applications in each of the respective categories. Once that was done, that information would then be forwarded back to the MHC team, and then we would take a review of financial documentation for each of the applicants. So it could be possible that you could rank in the top one or two, but your financial information was not sufficient enough for a grant award to be made. We would then excuse that applicant out, or to the extent that there were questions which they could rectify or correct, or sometimes maybe bring in a fiscal agent, an organization that might have sufficient financial wherewithal to bring the project across the finish line, they would have an opportunity to enter into some type of an arrangement at that point in time. Going back to the example that I gave before, an applicant might understand that, and again, I'll use the example where they requested, let's make it easier, $60,000, and for the travel, they requested $20,000 to bring somebody outside of the state of Minnesota in. That would be something that would be denied. So the review panel would be reviewing the $40,000, which would be permissible under legacy. The review panel might have ranked them in the top three. They would receive a note, assuming their financial documentation is otherwise okay. They would then receive a note from us that their grant award would be at the max, say, of $40,000. They would then have questions as to why they might not have been forwarded or funded at the full $60,000. At that point in time, we would be very clear again that they could not be funded at the full 60, and then stated the reason under legacy as to why they could not be funded at that amount. So that's kind of the specific review process that we take for all the respective grants. Civic organizations, children's museums, because of the amount involved there, $300,000 for the civic.
Director
I'm
Lindsay,
sorry.
let me pause here to, to see if anybody have questions thus far. And I suppose feel free to ask any question along the way, because, so that, so we don't forget the earlier part of Director Lindsay presentation. So if anybody have question at this point, this might be a good place to do it. Otherwise, we'll have Director Lindsay to continue.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate the reminder. If anybody has any questions at any point in time, please don't hesitate to ask the question.
Senator Kunish.
Yep.
I was just thinking about this while you were speaking, especially when it comes to cultural heritage, cultural and ethnic study materials. Do you have the resources there when there are grant applicants that perhaps have struggled with the English language, or, as they're reading it, it can be very technical and it asks for a lot of details. Is there any kind of built-in support or help for those grantees?
Director Lindsay, Ms. Auger.
Senator Kunish, Chair, her, members of the committee, yes, there's additional resources that are provided. We have found that to be the case. Sometimes it might require us to bring in someone to provide translation services. We also have situations in which, because of individuals who might be identified as people with disabilities, there's additional accommodations that we make there. We make sure that we provide on the website and then also in the FAQs that people are aware that if they need an accommodation to fill out their application or to process going forward, that can be a resource that we can provide to them. So I appreciate the question.
I do have a question. What about the reporting back process after, they complete the work or the presentation of artworks? How do you evaluate their reports?
Sure, Mr. Chair. We'll say a little bit about it in a few, but to give you coming to attractions, we do have a schedule what is put forward when the contract is entered into, where we have an interim report. So for projects that say last in duration more than 3 months, we might pick a point in time in which we'll set aside time to go review, or given the size and scale, have information sent to us to ensure that performance under the contract is proceeding as articulated in the agreement. Appreciate again Tristy and her staff and then others that are going out and meeting. It can be very exciting work, but it also can be challenging on your feet to get out to all 150. There is no shortage of things to see and to do within that space, and we appreciate the richness of going throughout the state to be able to see all the wonderful things that are going on.
Thank you.
Let's go beyond the next slide here. So we've kind of talked about the review panels. So this is what I was referring to earlier about the amount allocated versus the amount requested by grant applicants. I've met with the Trade Association for Children's Museums on a couple of occasions during this biennium period. The definition for children's museums was not specified within the statute. We did take a look at definitions at a national level, local level, concerning children's museums. We identified that definition within our website, didn't receive any feedback from children's museums when that was posted. concerning our FAQs. So the number of children's museums was broader than the number of children's museums in the Trade Association. So you'll see a total requested amount, which is larger than I think what was initially submitted by just that smaller group. That being said, I think the amount for children's museums was reflective of sort of the overall balancing of needs in other areas. And I think supporting the development of play and activities, which was testified earlier today, is very important, and children's museums play a significant role within that space. The cultural heritage grants, again, which was allocated just a little over $8 million, we took some of our dollars from program and then poured it in because of the demand there for cultural heritage. Again, the total requested amount far exceeds sort of what was allocated there. Capacity building was nearly 10 times what was requested. I'm not requested. Request was 10 times as much as what was supplied by the legislature in that space. Civics, again, nearly 6 times. The quality of the applications can't be understated here. We're not just simply saying any and all applications up and over the supply. We're really talking about the ones, again, in our process that did not get screened out. So these are really the requests that are really being reviewed by the review panel at this level. If we go to the next slide. The average funding level for the current grant lines, you see it here. The biennium period before by the legislature for cultural heritage grants was just under $45,000. This current biennium period, the legislation provided that at least 25% of the amount allocated for cultural heritage grants go for grant recipients over $150,000. So as a result, you'll see the average grant for cultural heritage jump up to $120,000. Again, I will tell you, if we go back to the last slide, it's $47,000 in that total amount for cultural heritage. If the legislature had decided all the grant lines should be over $150,000, we clearly could have awarded all over $150,000. Had the legislature decided all under $75,000, we clearly could have done all under $75,000. So this is really legislature trying to find the right balance as to the mix within cultural heritage. But know that there's great demand for some larger size projects, and there's still great demand for some smaller size projects within the state. If you go back.
Director Lindsay.
Yep.
I have a question, not about this page, but it's kind of relevant to the emergency response. That's a small allotment of $100,000. I just want to know how, is it heavily used, or is it you all used up, or what's the percentage out there, so we can get an idea how important it is?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I appreciate the question. The legislation provided that if funding was not used by October 15th of last year, that the balance could be used by the Minnesota Humanities Center and other areas. All $100,000 was expended through grants prior to October 15th. We modified slightly the way that we were talking about the respective grants, because the initial 4 or 5 grants that came into the space were talking about a psychic kind of harm or a long-term kind of a harm, and not a specific one, which we felt was somewhat different than sort of what the legislative intent on an emergency responding to something that had just recently happened. We received more than 20 applications within this space. So again, there were enough applications to clearly exhaust the amount within this area. I believe that if the legislature wished to do it, something similar again, that there would be, again, demand for such a grant line.
Thank you. Thank you, because it's, it's important, even though in comparison to other portion over $1 million or so, this is like $100,000. So it's big, but it's still small in comparison. And I see its benefits in a situation where it's haphazard to the community, and that to call people over, and a use of $5,000 to $20,000 can be great benefit in case of emergency situation. So thank you for your information. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I wholeheartedly agree with your comments, is that sometimes there were some smaller grants within the space that disproportionate huge impact, those dollars being there, and for really bringing people together to begin healing in response to something that had happened. Go to the next slide. Well, this unfortunately did not come out as well as I thought, given this backdrop here, but there are red dots throughout the state on the screen there. We really try to adhere to the idea. I know the Twin Cities metropolitan area is now 17 counties, but we internally at the Minnesota Humanities Center know that 7 counties, about 70% of the population in Minnesota reside in 7 counties. We appreciate that dichotomy when we think about our grant making, so we try to bring great intentionality that we have grants going out to the other 80 counties, proportionate to the 30% of the population within the state. And that's reflective, I think, any of the grant lines that you see. Here are some of the cities throughout the state in which grants were given. The grantee support, so Senator Herr, you were talking earlier about sort of feedback once you received a grant from us. So one of the things that Tristee and her team just recently implemented here within, well, I guess we're in February, so late last year, was sharing best practices with a newsletter and check-in emails. So again, this is us proactively providing some tips to all our grantees of some of the things that we're observing and seeing, and working with grantees. New grantee orientation sessions. So this is, again, something more robust that we have provided to try and get in front of any issues that grantees might be facing. And then they also have an opportunity to request any one-on-one kind of situations with our staff as well. Tristee is a very friendly person, so much more friendly than I, so people do take her up on that all the time.
Thank you.
So we look at this as sort of the recipe for success, provide clarity at the beginning, interim report check-ins for folks, be always available to answer questions, and then just sprinkle some best practices throughout the respective process. I had an athletic coach would say sometimes rinse, wash, and repeat. So we try to do that all throughout all of our respective grant lines as well. For the cultural heritage grants, I know that there have been some questions from some of the legislators as to how that broke out. So we do have this slide as well for you so that you can see how those broke out. Obviously, that's not quite as applicable to children's museums, but for cultural heritage grants, you now have that information. And that then takes us to the closing. Unprecedented demand. Interest is very high across all the respective grant lines. The new grant opportunities that you provided, such as festivals, capacity building, emergency, all of those things, a lot of excitement from folks all throughout the state of Minnesota. And we're about 8 years away. I think the feedback that I have been given since it's almost going on 6 years in June now, is that legacy is very important for people all throughout the state of Minnesota. They're asking for more ways in which legacy can be brought to their community through folk art, community dance, a variety of different areas. So thank you, and thank everyone on this committee for the wonderful work that you do.
Thank you, Director Lindsay. Any questions from members? Sarah Kunish.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is just a gem of a resource for Minnesota and probably some of the surrounding states as they also cross our border and have access to some of the programs and the cultural events that we're able to finance through the Humanities Center, as well as I know that there's professional development classes around many of these things that teachers and educators and other groups can access. How does Minnesota compare with other states as far as the programming or these opportunities to put on performances and different seminars and the different grants that you are funding here? How does Minnesota compare to other states, would you say?
Director Lindsay.
Senator Kunish, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee, when I've had a chance to travel throughout the United States and I get a chance to talk about the things that we're able to fund and support, people's eyes light up, their ears kind of perk up and say, we really should have something like that, and especially when we talk about the breadth of the things in which we're involved in. We'll be going to D.C. next week to have conversations there with the members of the congressional delegation, and we'll be bringing to folks, we don't have a grant line on this, but it's a program that we have on our work with veterans. So within that respective space, people are really appreciative of folks talking about how we've reached out to the veteran community, how we talk about the respective loved ones, the poet that is going to be coming with us, talking about the poetry that she has created as a nurse that was in Iraq and also in Afghanistan. Then talking about the various things such as We Are Water that we're doing on water stewardship issues, or the things in which we're trying to do as relates to publishing books. All of those things, people say, that's a state I want to come to, that's a state I want to be, find out more about. And I would say legacy is a strong incentive for folks to think about relocating or being a part of the Minnesota story.
Senator Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To testifiers, is the legacy the only source of funding you have?
Director Lindsay.
Senator Green, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee, no, it is not. So we receive funding from a variety of different sources. We receive some funding from the National Endowment for the Humanities. We receive some funding from foundations. We receive some funding from individual donors. We also, from time to time, will have some contracts or grant agreements ourselves with foundations. And that just depends upon sort of the needs and interest of the foundations and then our capacity to be able to lean into those spaces.
Follow.
So, so do you have like a total of the funding that you have outside of the legacy?
Director Lindsay.
Senator Green, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, we will have our annual report published in a couple of weeks. I could forward that to you to give you a specific number. But yes, we do receive funding from other sources. The funding that we receive from the National Endowment for the Humanities is roughly about $1 million a year. And then from contracts, that just depends, again, on when you ask that question of, is it being fulfilled or is it just on the front end?
Okay. Mr. Chair, I don't want to belabor, but I'm looking through your grant application, or your grantees, I guess, and it looks like there's 45 pages, and I unfortunately don't see good enough to go through them too good right now, but I'll be going through them. But what's the average size of your grant?
So, it may take a minute for the laptop to warm up, but there was a slide within your materials where we identified sort of various grant lines, and we did the average for the grant line. If you'd like, we could aggregate that back up and then identify sort of what the overall average across all grant lines would be.
Mr. Chair, if you have to do that, you don't have to do that, because I can do that. But the reason I was looking through the grants, it looks like there's a lot of them in between 50,000 and 100,000, some, and then they go up from there. But, you know, for instance, you got the one for 71,000 for storytelling. And so it brings me to my next question, which is, when the chairman asked a good question, is do you ever go back and look and see how the money was spent? And so how do you do that with some of these grants?
So Senator Green, I'm sorry, Senator Green, Senator Herr as chair, and members of the committee. A couple of things which I heard within there. So the 71,000 that you mentioned, that was a choice that the legislature made as relates to cultural heritage grants this biennium period. So 4 years ago, a smaller amount of 750,000 was provided, but there was no requirement that any percentage of that be over a certain threshold of 150,000. And in that, which you heard from legislative members in which we spoke with, is they said, make sure that you reach out to smaller humanities organizations, cultural organizations. So we had communicated to those organizations that it was most likely that they would be under $50,000. I think we actually put a cap of $75,000 that they couldn't go over. But that was really based on an informal conversation with legislators after the fact, after the legislation was passed. But there was no hard number identified within the statute. At that point in time, the average for cultural heritage grants was $44,000. For this current session, the way in which the cultural heritage grant language reads, it says that a certain percentage should be over 150,000. And then as a result of that, and the ones that you're reading now on our website, there will be grant awards that are over 150,000. But that's because it's consistent with the language of the statute. Then I think your next question was, how do we go back and then ensure that what grant recipients are saying that they're doing in their contract actually got done? So if you were a grant recipient and you had just been informed that you were going to get a grant award, you would be meeting with Tristy and her staff. You'd kind of walk through and you'd receive a grant agreement. We'd clarify with you what the expectations were for you to be able to fulfill your grant agreement. You would be informed as to what your report would be due. So you would know that you would have a time frame in which you'd have to provide progress toward achieving what was stated within your grant agreement. And you'd also be informed that before you could get the final payment, that you'd also have to submit a final report to us, and you'd have to document that you accomplished all that you did or that you said you were going to do under your agreement before you'd get the last final 10%. This process, by the way, is a process which is tied to OMGM with the Department of Administration. So we identify this process with them. So they're also aware of that process. So it's not just us completely doing a divorce from the state. During the course of the grant award, or your performance, I should say, under the agreement, if there was an issue which was identified either prior interim report or after the interim report, you might have a one-on-one meeting with Tristy or others to identify what would be necessary to rectify. We would then spell out the specific time frame for you to rectify it. What I have found as an attorney practicing law with contracts is that when you're much better off informing folks and demonstrating what your expectations are on the front end, as opposed to trying to be on the back end and only looking at sort of what the performance is after they're halfway completed and performing under the agreement. So you'll see a lot of our activities as being very clear on the front end, what our expectations are, when things are due, and then a quick check-in and being available for questions, if they have it, on the front end. And what we have found is that has really resulted in all the grantees really performing at a very high level.
Thank you.
Any other question or comments? Thank you, Director Lindsay. Any closing remark, or you're good as it is?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and I say this, I really appreciate the opportunity to visit with you today to kind of talk about the grant process. Appreciate your support of the Minnesota Humanities Center and your support in creating opportunities for Minnesotans to connect through legacy funding. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for your presentation today, and thank you, member, for stay along with this committee till this point. Before I adjourn, I want to see if our community administrator, Carl Josephson, can tell us what's going to be on the agenda this Thursday.
Hi, yes, thank you. Cara Josephson, Committee Administrator. We are going to be hearing the governor's budget proposals for the Department of Natural Resources, Pollution Control Agency, and Board of Water and Soil Resources.
Thank you, and I want to emphasize I'm not like to the clock, like 00 prompt, but I want to encourage members to be on time, and I'm going to be on time to set example as well. So that we can have quorum and start our meeting, our committee meeting early. So thank you very much, Director Lindsay and Ms. Auger, and thank you, members. The Committee on Environment, Climate, and Legacy is adjourned.